Fuck. 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 Ah. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's my displeasure to talk to you about a movie that I watched today that comes out November 26th, an A24 instant classic called Eternity. I just kind of semicolon broke down the movie in a I'm breaking down kind of manner to one of my friends in a voice note, and I led the voice note by saying that A24 has a reputation nowadays that it's either going to be one of the best movies you've ever seen, an instant classic, 5-star delight, or it's going to be one of the shittiest movies you've ever seen in your life. A24, you fucking cooked on this one. I don't remember if I said the movie was called Eternity, but it's called Eternity. And it's the premise of this movie is exactly what the namesake of it is. You've got an eternity to figure something out. So in this case, I just went over the fucking curb. In this case, it's about a couple, an elderly couple, and they're driving, right? They're driving to their like kids' gender reveal, right? So they've got a family. It's a beautiful family. They've been married for over half a century, and honestly, I didn't know what the movie was gonna be. I saw the title. It was an early screening where I didn't know what it was going to be before we go in there. And based on the title, based on the first 5 minutes of it, I'm like, oh, this might be like a fun little movie. Like a fun little movie about old people doing something, getting things, like, figuring out a problem or something like that. No. The fucking old guy dies. He dies and he goes to, like, heaven, or like the concept of heaven. The concept of an afterlife, really. So he arrives on a train. He's his younger self. So the concept of that is that you're reincarnated into the version that you were the happiest. Okay, keep that concept in mind. So he's younger and he's on a train. He's visibly confused. He gets off the train. He tries to talk to every single person that he sees, but it's a train station. So the train station is your hub. You know, it's your place that you go to before you get on another train and decide where you want to live out the rest of your days. The rest of your life, you're already dead. You can't live out a life that you already lost or ended. So that's the concept, right? You get to there, you make a decision, and then you live the rest of your eternal life there in the decision that you choose. Easy enough to follow. Guy dies. He keeps wondering about his wife again. It's these two old people at the beginning of the movies. He keeps asking about his wife. Like, oh, where's my wife? I gotta find my wife. You know, my wife's sick. You know, I gotta take care of her. And they're like, buddy, come here. Te moriste, chavo. You're dead, man. You're dead. Like, you can't do anything about it. And he's like, oh, he asks like follow-up questions, right? And then they answer it. Like, the answer is very like direct. It's like, so this is like heaven? He's like, no, there's not really like a heaven. Like, this is the afterlife. Like, you gotta like decide where you want to go. Like, you'll have your own paradise. You just get to choose. And he's accepting of those answers. Like, okay, got it. Very like logical. Very like to the point. Like, all right, got you. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Then, right? He gets a afterlife coordinator. They call them ACs. He gets an afterlife coordinator, and this afterlife coordinator is a sassy black woman. And the main character is a white man. So already there's a dynamic there, and he's very playful with the sassy banter back. Like, he's not like, he's not giving that. So she's giving him some sass. He's taking it. He's giving it back. He's getting to like know the afterlife, like, train station area, and he runs into this bartender. And he just tells him, like, yeah, man, you know, my wife was amazing, XYZ, you know, very lover husband guy. Like, he's like, yeah, you know, I died, my wife is sick, and I always told her I was gonna take care of her, and so the wife is sick. So the wife has terminal cancer, and at the beginning of the movie, they're going to that gender reveal that I mentioned, and the husband is telling her, his name is Larry, he's like, you have to tell the kids, like, you gotta tell them, like, and she has this like thing in her arm that she's hiding, and she's like, let me have one more day with them, let me have one more day, let me have this day, and then I'll tell them. And the husband, Larry, he dies at this gender reveal because he choked to death, basically. And they had his funeral, and basically we're back to this point. So he's telling this bartender all this. He's like, yeah, my wife has cancer. I've always told her I was gonna take care of her, and now she got to do this alone. Very, very fucking sad. Like, I was fucking distraught. So bada bing, bada boom. We get like a little like a few days in this afterlife. Apparently you have 7 days to make a decision, which is a weird concept, but you got 7 days to make a decision on where you want to spend the rest of your afterlife. And his afterlife coordinator is very pushy. She's like, yo, make a decision already, man. Like, come on. Like, clearly, like, the people who are afterlife coordinators are giving very much DMV employees. Like, they just need that job. They don't want to be there. Like, the classic trope of like a government employee. So she's rushing him to make a decision on like where he wants to spend his afterlife. And so he eventually finds like something that he thinks his wife would like. So he's like, maybe if I can go early, I could set up the afterlife for us, and then she could find me. And then the afterlife coordinator was like, no, that's not how it works. That's breaking the rules. Like, da da da. And he's like, can I leave you this note? And she's like, nah, I can't take that note. So blah blah blah. Right. So as he's going down, he's like, all right, maybe my wife will find me. He's assuming because they're married that she's gonna go and find him, because she'll get the same explanation that he got, that it's the afterlife, you got to choose an eternity, da da da, right? So he's assuming that she'll go and find him. So as he's leaving, he's trying to get on his train to go to the afterlife that he thinks his wife would want. And then as he's going down this escalator, he sees the younger version of his wife. Keep that in mind. He sees her, he's like, oh shit, that's my wife. And so he runs down the escalator, runs all the way back up, and then finally makes it to the top. He's talking to his wife, and she's trying to figure out what the hell's going on. She's talking to him, and then her afterlife coordinator comes, and it's a sassy gay man, a gay white man. So he comes, he's like, actually, I've been waiting for your case for 67 years, so let's go over here. That's the amount of time they were married, by the way. So he's like, I've been waiting for this case for that many years. He comes in, he's like, look who I have for you. And then, boom, the lady's first husband. Her first husband. Yes, you didn't know that. You thought the first husband was the guy that just died. No, that's the second husband. So her first husband comes out of nowhere, and guess who it is? It's the fucking bartender. It's the bartender. And I couldn't get over that. I was like, oh my god, this movie's about to get fucking messy. And boy, oh boy, does it get messy. So it's the classic trope of like, who are you gonna choose? Are you gonna go with the old flame, or the one that you never got to ignite the spark? Because the reason why he's her first husband is because they married young. They were young love. They married young, and then he had to go off and fight in a war, not a crazy war, the Korean War. And they shit on the Korean War a lot in this movie, and I thought it was fucking hilarious. So he dies at war, and she gets the news eventually, and then like a year or two years later, she's meeting with Larry, that's our main guy, and she gets married to him. So that's how he ends up being her second husband. And so keep in mind, this guy, the first husband, has been dead for over 60 something years, and he was also brought into the afterlife in a version of himself that he was the happiest, and he was the happiest right at the age where he was married to Larry's wife. And he spent his 67 years as a bartender, because if you don't want to choose your eternity, you have to choose a job, and you have to work a job until you're finally able to choose where you want to be for the rest of your afterlife. And so he spent his whole afterlife waiting for her. It's getting drama. It's getting dramalicious. So the whole working staff of the afterlife knows that fact. They know that he's been waiting that, so they're rooting for him. And my boy Larry is like, yo, that's my wife. Come on. That's my wife. Like, why are you why you rooting against me? That's my wife. Like I married her. I have grandkids with her. I have kids with her. Like, why y'all going against me? Valid to feel that way, Larry. Valid. And I feel like they gave you such a fuck ass name so we could root for you, because it's hard to root for Larry. Like, no offense to all the Larrys out there, but it's fucking difficult. There's the premise. This lady has to choose, or does she have to choose? I have to choose between two guys, her first husband and her late husband. And it's a decision. I felt like what this movie excelled at is making everything feel human, even in the scenario unhuman. Like, I feel like once you die, there's a thing where like you're just not human anymore, right? And in this afterlife scenario, there's still a lot of human decisions that need to be made. Like, you have to choose your preferences. Like, what did you like as a living human being? What did you like enough to make you want to choose something for the rest of time, I guess? And it's human decisions that you have to make. And the movie showcases that all humans are complex individuals. Like, when you take a step back, right? I'm a little emotional because I'm like, I went through this little roller coaster, but I'm trying to think about, like, if I was in her shoes, I lost two husbands, or let me make it myself. I lost two wives. I lost my first wife, who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and then I eventually found another person that I thought to myself, wow, I don't have to spend the rest of my life alone. I can spend it with this person. I lost that person too. And now I'm here in a place where I have access to both of them, and I don't know what to do with that information. And then on the flip side, let's say I was the first husband. Let's say I died first, and I waited for eternity, for the chance of the love of my life to pop up and recognize me and want to be with me. But it turns out she had already moved on and found love. And the guy says, he's like, hey, if I've always wanted you to be happy, I've always wanted you to have the things that we've always wanted, but like I want it now. Like I want it now. Understandable. I get you. But imagine being the second husband. First of all, you had to live up to the first husband no matter what as the second husband. Especially being a guy that died in a war. Like, everyone's gonna be like, oh man, he was such a hero. You know, like, you gotta live with that. Whether that bothers you or not, like, on Earth, I don't think it would bother me. I'm like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But then now, like, imagine having like that in the back of your mind, right? You're dead now, and now you have to think about that again. Like, oh, but now I actually have to compare, because the guy is physically in front of me. He's not a ghost. He's not a memory. It's a fucking being right in front of me. Man, I don't think I could be the second person, but I don't think I want to be the first husband either. Like, I don't want to be the person that missed out on all of my, like, all of the things I've ever wanted in life. I don't want to be the guy that missed out on it. But I also don't know if I could be the guy that lives out a fantasy that wasn't inherently all mine. Damn. That ruined my whole night. What I just said just ruined my whole night. So I'm not gonna post this video until the movie comes out. Because imagine spoiling a movie 2 weeks early. That's fucked up. So I'm not gonna do that. But I'm still gonna continue to fucking talk about this, even though I'm already like halfway to my house. But yeah, fuck. What would you guys do, honestly? Like, if that was you in that situation, like, imagine, like, first of all, you're dead, right? I feel like they glanced over that a lot because of the personality of the guy, of the husband. But like, if I died, I low-key would be like more distraught than what that guy was. Like, I'd be like, fuck, I really fucking died. Like, that's crazy. Basically, the movie's a rom-com, right? So there was very few calm moments. There was a little bit, but like, I literally was overwhelmed with like the perspectives of everybody involved. Like, imagine being the second husband. Imagine being the first husband. Imagine being the wife. Imagine losing, again, like I said earlier, losing two people. First, you lost the person you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life with. Then you lose the person that you thought, like, wow, you know, maybe life can go on with someone else. You lose them too, and then you die a week later from cancer. And you just got cancer. You know, that feels like the littlest thing compared to like what the whole situation was. But man, yo, that movie was crazy. I was literally like, I sympathize with every single character in that movie. Like, when this movie did something perfect where it made the characters unlikable at the right times. Like, there was not one, like, this whole film, I didn't think, oh man, the wife's so unlikable the whole movie. I'm like, oh man, you know, you come off sympathetic. First, you like the husband because it's the first character you're thrown at, right? You kind of build that relationship for like 15, 20 minutes. And then you meet the bartender guy. I'm like, oh, that's a cool side character. And then they all start like intertwining. And then you kind of start liking the fucking afterlife coordinators, which was weird for me. I'm like, damn, you guys are the most annoying part of that. And the pushy girl, you know, the sassy gay guy, like the bartender, like as soon as the bartender comes in the frame, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you doing with my wife, right? I feel like the movie puts you in that one, how the second husband feels. It puts you in in those pairs of shoes, and you kind of feel a little offended at the beginning. We're like, whoa, 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 what are you doing, hugging my wife like that? And it's crazy because I feel like we've painted the second husband as an attentive, caring guy, that he would recognize what the first husband looks like. Because fun fact, at the end of the movie, he not at the end, like close to where the ending is. I don't want to spoil the ending, but the guys are sitting in a room together, and he tells them, you know, you were the last thing I saw before I died. And the first husband goes, what? How? And he's like, well, one of my granddaughters showed me a photo thinking it was me and her, but it was really you and her at your wedding day, and I choked on my pretzel and I died. And then so they're laughing over that, and it comes to a point where like the guys are bonding. And I thought to myself, when she's making this decision, she's like there's like a whole like 40-50 minute segment of the movie where she's trying to make a decision. She's trying to get like different experiences with both of them, and I'm like, maybe you guys should just be buddies. Maybe instead of fighting over this girl, you could be pals. And then you can let her live her life, you know? And that's as much as I'll talk about that. I don't want to go too much on what the decision was at the end, who goes with whom, but I just adore this movie because of how humanizing it was to the human experience in a setting that is inhuman, right? Like, we don't know what afterlife looks like. We don't know what it looks like to die, like what comes after death. And I think it's an interesting interpretation of that idea of what it could be. So I implore you to go watch Eternity when it comes out November 26th. And it's one of those movies, because I remember seeing, I forgot what this movie was called, but it was like a film of grief, and it is centered around like a father trying to maneuver life after one of his kids took their own life. And it's movies like that, not like the topic itself, but the movies that make you feel the emotions that the characters are feeling. So I think these are two opposite ends of the spectrum, right? That one movie I just talked about, like with the father, like you could feel the grief in his voice and in his line delivery and how he moves and how he lives his life. You could feel the grief of him. Like, when I saw that early premiere, it was like 30 minutes away from my house. It was at the Jacob Burns Film Center. It was a pre-release, and the whole movie theater, there was one point where it was something really tragic happened, and you could hear everybody go, you could hear everybody sniffle. And I think I made an Instagram reel about that. And then now this movie, where like, you kind of can feel the weight of every character's motivation on why they're making the decisions they're making. And I think that's inherently very powerful and very beautiful. And when I lay down today for bed, it's 9:41, I'm in my house. When I lay down, I think the last thing I'm going to think of before I go to sleep is nothing. I'm going to be literally staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out what I just went through, what I just experienced, and how I feel about that. And I told my friend on the voice note, I was like, A24 has a habit either they're making the greatest film of all time humanly ever made, or they're just making movies just to fucking make them. And I've told Christian that too numerous times. So I'm like, did A24 really need to make this movie? Because A24 may talk to me. That's all I'm gonna say. How can you make this movie, Eternity, and then how can you make Talk to Me? That's all I gotta say. Ladies and gentlemen, please go out and watch that. Please go out and watch Talk to Me so you can kind of see what I'm trying to say. Please go out and watch Talk to Me 2. That's also going to be an A24 movie. But, man, Eternity. Holy fuck. I haven't left the cinema. Look at me talking all fancy. I haven't left the movie theaters feeling the way I felt in a long time. In a long time. From a non-horror movie. I feel like I feel the emotions of horror movies all the time. Just because I love them so much, so I kind of like throw myself into them. But man, when it comes to more serious topics and more like outside of the horror genre, there are very few movies that kind of get me like this riled up and this emotional and this like excited to talk about it. So again, go out, watch it, please. That's all I have to say. I will see you guys on my next early screening thing. I don't have my remote, so I can't do this, but pretend I did that.